If I had $1 for every time some K-pop stan threw out the word flop like confetti at a cheap birthday party, I'd be lounging in a villa next to Jungkook and be throwing a Wattpad party with Jackson Wang. The way you'll overuse this word like it's a hot fashion trend is beyond tired. At this point, calling something a flop is basically admitting you have no better insult in your vocabulary. A group doesn't hit #1 within the first 24 hours? Flop. Their music video views aren't breaking world records by noon? Flop. They release a song that isn't to your taste? Guess what? Flop. Or even if they don't shake some ass to your taste, flop. Here's the thing, flop used to mean something. It held weight. It was reserved for genuine commercial failures, disastrous comebacks, or groups who disappeared faster than their debut stage ended. But now, the term has been watered down to the point where it barely holds meaning. And the ones suffering from this overuse aren't the idols, it's the fans throwing the word around with reckless abandon. Let me hit you with a wild concept: not every comeback is supposed to break records. Shocking, I know, but K-pop fans have somehow convinced themselves that if a group doesn't hit 500,000 first-day sales or dominate every single chart, their career is nosediving straight into the ground. Look, numbers are important, but they aren't the end-all, be-all. There are plenty of successful groups who aren't out here shattering Billboard every time they blink. Sometimes a comeback is meant for the fans, not the history books. And honestly, that's perfectly fine. But no, some of y'all sit there like stock market analysts waiting to declare bankruptcy the second a song doesn't debut at #1. It's like watching someone throw a tantrum because they didn't get enough likes on their Instagram post. Relax. K-pop is about music and performance, not just digits on a screen. And permit me to be mean for a moment here. Half the people throwing flop around wouldn't even know how to stream correctly if their life depended on it. You can't sit there with 3 plays on Spotify and 0 YouTube engagement, or on a more personal level, with a couple of Fs in your report card calling a group irrelevant. Where's your contribution, bestie? Even the biggest groups in K-pop history have had underwhelming releases. You think BTS always shattered records? Nope. Blackpink didn't break the internet with their debut. Groups build momentum over time. But apparently, some of y'all skip that lesson in patience and think any dip in success equals immediate failure. Calling every misstep a flop ignores the bigger picture: sustained growth. Groups that consistently release music and maintain a solid fanbase aren't flopping. They're building careers that last. One lukewarm era doesn't erase years of hard work. If that was the case, half the music industry, not just K-pop, would cease to exist. Instead of throwing the word around like cheap glitter, maybe try watching how artists adapt and evolve. That's called growth, and it's a sign of professionalism, not failure. If someone's idea of flopping is selling 300,000 albums and headlining international tours, then sign me up for failure. The fact is, if an idol is still getting paid, performing, and living comfortably, they haven't flopped. The only people losing are the ones wasting energy trying to convince the world otherwise. This is what blows my mind the most. Fans will be in the trenches screaming about a group flopping while that same group is jetting off to sold-out concerts or modeling for luxury brands. It's hilarious, honestly. Imagine calling someone a failure while they're stacking paychecks higher than your yearly rent. A group not hitting record-breaking numbers doesn't mean their careers are crumbling. Many mid-tier groups thrive in their niche. Not everyone needs to be a global sensation to succeed. The industry is wide enough to accommodate different levels of popularity. There are groups with smaller but dedicated fan bases that have been active for years. If that's a flop, then failure sounds a lot more appealing than whatever the haters are doing. Next time you feel the urge to tweet flop, ask yourself, is this group's failure still paying for luxury vacations? Are they still getting brand deals while I type this from my bedroom? If the answer is yes, maybe, just maybe, you need to log off and touch grass. As someone who loves reading the dictionary on boring days, calling something a flop is the laziest form of shade. It requires 0 effort, 0 creativity, and frankly, 0 understanding of the industry. If you're going to insult a group, at least make it interesting. Crack a joke, roast their outfits, criticize the production, something. But recycling flop for the millionth time? Snooze fest. K-pop stans love to pretend they're intellectual giants dissecting comebacks like Nobel Prize judges, But if flop is the best they've got, it's giving elementary school insult battle. There are so many ways to express disappointment without sounding like a broken record. Get creative. Use your words. Flex that vocabulary. At this point, flop has been devalued to the point where it barely registers as an insult. If everyone's a flop, then no one is. So maybe it's time to retire the word altogether and bring some originality to the table. Until then, let's save the term for actual failures, not minor inconveniences that stands blow out of proportion. So, until then, stay original, because if you're going to play villain, at least be interesting.